Cleveland! This is for you!
Welcome, everybody, to the Land Sports Show Wednesday night edition, playoff edition. And I'm James Ellifrich, your host tonight. And joining me tonight from the Prospects of the Land Show, Tavin McCulley. Tavin, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Be a lot better if, we could have snagged one in the Bronx, but obviously looking toward game 3 tomorrow. So see how that goes.
Yeah, the one thing that's nice for game 3, Yankees at Guardians tomorrow night, is the fact that for the weather that we've had the first 3 days of this week, thankfully Thursday and Friday for games 3 and 4 are looking pretty good as far as Cleveland goes for some October baseball. So I think we're going to be very fortunate for that good weather. And when I say good weather, by the time it's 7th inning, it's still going to be pretty damn chilly. But like tonight, it got dark around a little after 6:30. So at least we'll have a little bit of sunshine to try to keep it a little bit warmer at Progressive Field. And I hope with that warmth, we'll include the Guardians bats. We definitely need some offense starting tomorrow night for game 3, because our series in games 1 and 2 weren't so good, Taven. Not a lot of offense there in the Bronx.
Yeah, 100%. The only reason you were even pretty much scored in those games, and kind of goes back to the Detroit series, is because of Stephen Kwan and Brian Rocchio. I mean, those guys, they're the MVPs of this series. I mean, Leighton Thomas there too, but he's not getting on as often as those guys. So you just really gotta bank on them to just continue what they're doing in game 3. But I mean, you got to have guys like Josh Naylor and Jose break out of their slumps and get something from the middle to back end of that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There was definitely a lot of frozen bats there in the first game. I pulled up the box score here. We lost 6-3 in the first game, but Stephen Kwan, who was absolutely on fire in that Detroit series, still had a base hit, got an RBI, but it's still. Here's the thing I want to talk about, Taven. From games 1 and 2, compared to the Detroit series and how it ended, the high note that we had, Lane Thomas grand slam, being at home, this locker room celebration, the third one of the season, between clinching the playoffs, clinching the AL Central, and then winning the division series against the Tigers. Do you feel that anything in games 1 and 2 resembled the guard ball that we've got to know here in September and now into October?
A little bit. I mean, there were signs of life toward the end of those games where you were getting beat. I mean, at one point you were down, I think 5-0, and came back, put a couple runs on the board, which is good. But you just got to keep the hitting going. I mean, the bullpen's been on lock, so that's obviously resembled guards ball too. They've just been phenomenal, and that's the reason why you won the Detroit series and you've been in these series. Obviously, Bybee only went 1 2/3 innings pitched, so they had to step up in a big role, which they did. But obviously, it's going to be tough playing a team that spends, seems like $5 billion when you play when you only kind of spend $5. So it's obviously you're going to have to play tougher than them, because on paper their lineup's just obviously more talented. So it all really comes down to, you just got to stick to who you are, and guards ball is just playing as hard as you possibly can. So
yeah, that's very true. I'm just looking here at the box score, looking at Josh Naylor 0 for 4. Right now, if your last name's Naylor and you're at the plate with a bat, unfortunately, it's just not looking well for our Canadian brothers hitting the baseball right now. So what do you see with their struggles that maybe they can turn around here at Progressive Field? Because you know how Bo gets Josh going if Bo's got hits, but Josh gets going, he gets everybody going. What do you see? Is there anything you see in their at bats that maybe is Josh swinging too hard, or what do you see?
So, I mean, main things with Josh, just every time he goes up there, he just swinging at anything he possibly can. His chase rate's through the roof, it seems like, against the Yankees. And he's trying to kill it. I feel like he's really just trying to make a statement, especially against Garrett Cole. I mean, I saw I mean, at least maybe 3 or 4 swings where he just looked like he was trying to send one to the third deck and right field. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of personal. Last night it was with Garrett Cole, but he just has to keep his head like on just steady. I mean, just base hits is really the name of the game, just to drive in some runs. And I mean, we'll definitely get into it a little later. But Bo Naylor, I I I don't know. I'm over Bo Naylor, so I don't think there's much helping him.
Well, it's early in his career, but Josh, right now with that helmet flying off, it's almost like go back to Little League when you had the elastic strap underneath your helmet, your batting helmet to keep it on. The poor guy almost needs that. I mean, it seems like it's ready to fly off his head every time he swings, and he has a violent swing. It's just unfortunate right now the contact's not there, and hopefully it comes around because we definitely need it. We need it from the middle of the order based on the way the Yankees were hitting, getting home runs from Soto in game one, and then also Judge and Stanton, I think, was game one as well. So some of their guys in the middle of the order are going deep, playing in that Little League Williamsport type outfield at Yankee Stadium because it's so short. It's kind of crazy to go from the Detroit Stadium at Comerica with that massive outfield to now Yankee Stadium and trying to keep them in the park, which the Bronx crowd can be a little bit overwhelming in some aspects. Passionate fans there, they're not going to give you a break for nothing. But we definitely need to hit better on the road. But right now, if we want to get back on the road to game 6 and 7, we got to focus and get at minimum 2 out of 3 here in Cleveland. But just to sum up, looking at this box score of game 1, the one young man that I see at the bottom of the screen, and you mentioned about Bo Naylor and his struggles. How about Brian Rocchio? His offense has really came around, and I want to tie this in. I want to see if you remember this, Tavin. He had an at-bat, I think it was in game 3 at Detroit, where I watched him, and I can't remember if he popped up, but he had a real nice swing, but it was still like he just missed it. And I watched him get fired up after that at bat, like, damn it, the work that he's putting in, and he's trying to get there, like he knows he's so close. And then finally, after that game, we've seen him hit consistently, and has been playing well in the playoffs with his glove and at the bat. So for a guy that had, like even myself, comparing his stats early in the year into the middle to Ahmed Rosario's stats that we had last year, because we weren't getting the production out of the shortstop 9-hole and or getting the offensive production out of center field with the Tyler Freeman experiment that lasted for a good while of the year. But thankfully, Lane Thomas trade has helped bring that together and get more production from the center field spots I know Thomas hits higher in the order, but Rocchio is doing a good job getting production out of that 9-hole, allowing Stephen Kwan to have somebody on base with his hot bat. So long story short, let me sum that up. I know I was rambling. Brian Rocchio, what do you think?
I love it. That's the guy. I mean, he was rated, I think, at one point the third best prospect in our system, and rightfully so. I mean, that's what you want out of him. I mean, you have essentially another leadoff guy with him in the 9-hole. I know me and Nate were talking on our show a little bit earlier. You might be able to see him in the 2-hole. If Vogt wants to switch a lot of things up, maybe have Quan hit leadoff, Rocchio gets on, and then you have 2 guys on, nobody out. So I don't think that's a bad idea either. To have him in the 2-hole, but he's been doing great as that second, type of leadoff guy.
Right. And then the last thing, looking at the box score from game 1, look at this pitching list. How many guys were either not on the team or in AAA this year? Didn't this feel like to you, this was a game where, Alex Cobb almost got his 3 innings? And now we know and find out that he's been removed from the playoff roster. Add in Ben Lively, which I think is a plus. I'm wondering if they thought that they were going to do this in the first place just because of the exhaustion that we put on the bullpen towards the end of the – they pitched in every game, did they not? Our top 4?
I want to say I think Gaddis might have not pitched like an inning in there somewhere, but pretty
Yeah.
much the entire way.
But it just felt like we could not, with only the 1 day off before game one, we could not dive back into that. So I think it was like we just needed. It almost felt, and it shouldn't have been this way. It almost felt like a Wednesday day game getaway, where you're just get whoever out there. Almost a bullpen day, except it's not your top bullpen guys. Hoping that we could somehow, some way, magically put a bunch of offense up, and then maybe support these guys, give them enough lead. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So moving on to game two, what you said is, our ace on the mound, Tanner Bybee, couldn't even get 2 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, walk, 2 Ks. Unfortunate, because Tanner he has been our bulldog. He's been that guy to come in after a loss and bail this team out. We all know that he can pitch farther than that. If there's anybody that's going to be able to potentially pitch 7 innings that's in our starting rotation, it's Tanner Bybee. Were you surprised by his start? And what do you think going forward for him in the series, how he's going to produce?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I was as shocked as anybody when he was kind of getting beat up a little bit, and Vogt took him out quick, which I mean it seemed like the smart move. I mean, he brought in Cade Smith, he limited the damage, so it worked out for you in a good role. The thing with Bybee is he only threw 38 pitches, so you might see him in a game 4 potentially, just because he didn't throw many pitches. So you might have him back sooner than you would think. So there might be some upside to it. Obviously, he still lost the game, but Cade Smith goes in and does Cade Smith things. So it kind of goes back to and ties into that. I mean, the bullpen just kind of carries the slack for the starters when they have a bad outing. So.
Yeah, it just feels like now that through one series and now 2 games into the ALCS, I don't know that we're going to have any start that resembles a normal post-game or postseason start, where you have a starter that could, like I said, I'm hoping Tanner can get us a 7-inning game. That's almost like a night off for the bullpen. And I think that's absolutely vital, because we went from a 5-game series of making it work, using the bullpen as much as we did, but in a 7-game series without home field advantage, I think it's that much more difficult to try to repeat what we did, especially against a better offensive team.
And you're not going to be able to lean on the same Gaddis, Heron, Cade Smith, and Clase rotation with it being a 7-game series. Those guys are going to need rest, and that means you're going to have to roll the dice on, the Sabrowskis, Eli Morgans, and Pedro Avila, who's been doing great. But I mean, those guys they're up and down, especially like an Eli Morgan. So if you throw him in there, especially against a Yankee team that's loaded with MVPs and All-Stars, I don't know how it's really gonna go. So.
Yeah, so the down 0-2, got to take 4 out of the next 5. 3 of them are in Cleveland. If anything, this series, if we're going to make a comeback, it might have to resemble something like 2016. The Cavs come back down 3-1. I just don't know where the series goes. Like I said, I'm hoping the weather's super solid for the next 2 games. At the very least, these bats can get warm. The starting pitchers can get extended a little bit, give that relief to the bullpen, and I think that's vital to us winning this series, getting back in the series. Because if we go down 3-0, it's lights out, right? Which I think, regardless of what our Guardians team does this week and next week, we can be proud of this team. I know there's so many young guys that's got some great experience this year, but I'm not packing it in. This is guards ball. We just need to see it back in Progressive. One point I want to make that I made a comment on Twitter last night was this, and I know it's X, but I'm going to call it Twitter, is the Guardians need to play, instead of playing the jersey, instead of playing the Yankees, instead of playing the history, they need to just play guards ball. They need to just play baseball. They need to keep their focal point there. And I know you got big bats in that lineup that can concern you, but I really think that don't get nervous about that competition. I know it's easier said than done. I'm sitting here in my man cave and they're up at the plate in front of all those Yankee fans in the Bronx that have all that history of championships in that city and in that stadium. What do you think? Do you really think that we're focusing on who we're playing, or are we focusing on actual guards ball?
No, it's a little bit of both. I think you see flashes in there. It might be a little bit of you kind of like, oh, it's the Yankees, but then again, it's not just a mindset. Like they're more talented team. That's just the facts. They spend $5 billion a year. Like, kind of made the point. We got to draft our players. So obviously they have more talent, but they're not unbeatable. Like you can definitely push this to a 6 or 7 game series, and you might even have a chance to win it if you get really hot and can shut them out. So I think you just got to stick to who you are and who you've been playing as all season, and just get the bats rolling, and pitching just got to stay consistent. So
yeah, I'm hoping that focus is there, back to what got them to the 92 wins, the division title. People are saying the Yankees have an easy road to the World Series, playing 2 AL Central teams. Let's not make it easy on them. Let's push them, and hopefully somehow, some way, we can get back in this series and take 4 games out of the next 5 and get to the World Series, because we're undefeated in the ALCS in my lifetime. 95, 97, 2016. Hopefully we can push this through, because I know there's a lot of Yankee fans that are going to show up at Progressive Field, and man, I don't want to see them there Game 4 because they won Game 3. That's for sure, because they'll buy up more tickets so they can hope to have their team go to the World Series that night. We don't want that. It's just like having damn Steeler fans at Brown Stadium. So we definitely don't want that. So Guards fans, if you're out there and you're watching and listening, please show up. Be ready for Game 3. Be loud as you've been. It's been fantastic watch on TV. So let's go Guards. And time to move on a little bit to the other team that's just north in the city. Not mine, not yours, but Clarence's. Cleveland Browns. Clarence, welcome back in tonight. How are you doing? Yeah. You got to unmute.
I'm good. I would rather talk about other shit besides the Browns, but that's why I'm here, I guess, right?
Hey, we would have loved to have you jump in on some Guards conversation. Playoff edition. Do you think we're going to be able to talk any Browns playoffs come January?
Is there a loser bracket?
I mean, we could watch something on YouTube from previous playoff seasons. That might be the only route we're going to be able to go to watch Browns playoff games. So what did you think of Browns Eagles Sunday night? Eagles win 20, or not Sunday night, Sunday afternoon. Eagles win 20-16 in Philadelphia. Browns had the ball, driving, could have taken the lead. Keeps the game suspenseful. Watson's going to bring us back, and what happened? What did you see in that game? Any positives in that game?
I've just completely. People want to talk about the second half when he went 10 for 11 or whatever it was. Like,
yeah.
Okay, we still are shooting ourselves in the foot. It's still this kind of reminds me of the 2017 season, I believe, or 2018 season, where we had penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty, and then they got rid of Hugh, and then Come Get Some came in there, stuck his nuts in the C gap, and we started winning some games. So I don't see us making any kind of deal, obviously, to let go of Stefanski and promote Schwartz or anything like that. Like, I think they're going to see it through with these guys for the rest of the season. But it's just the same shit, man. Penalties, just an awful offense. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly that is. And yeah, man, it's. I've moved on to Cincinnati because the most positive thing that's going to happen likely this season.
So like Coach Belichick.
Right? Yeah, we're on to Cincinnati. The most positive thing we're going to see thus far this season is going to be the return of Nick Chubb. That's got me gassed up, and it's coming at a perfect time for the Browns because they probably got their asses booed out the stadium coming out the tunnel this week, most likely. And the return of Chubb is going to help kind of smooth that over until we see bad football again, and then the Boo Birds are going to be out.
Well, I think they would have got booed directly out of their vehicles prior to the tunnel based on the performance that we've seen. Tavin, I know you're a Giants fan. For those that don't know, New York Giants fan. But
Browns are my
think
second.
you mildly root for the Browns, right? They're your plan B. What did you see in the game that any positives to take from it to bring into the Cincinnati week?
Not really. Obviously, like Clarence said, just the same crap. Watson he showed signs of being all right, but he's just not. I mean, the O-line's obviously all banged up, and I don't know how that's going to affect Chubb coming back because you might get Chubb maybe more hurt with this O-line. So I really don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people were still kind of hopeful coming to this game, but I was already looking at mock drafts just coming into this week. But I mean, I kind of have been after the Giants and Daniel Jones beat the Browns, and if you lose to Daniel Jones, you're not off to a good start. So,
well, not only did we lose to Daniel Jones this year, and not only did the Bengals pass us in our own division, we are also in last place in the NFC East, being 0-4, losing to all four teams. Just to put a little a little side jab to the Browns of what they're not doing this season. And the Eagles team that we watched, I mean, the coach Sirianni's getting all kinds of crap from the home fans.
Rightfully so.
I mean, I love kind of he gave it back to him. I know he since kind of apologized and kind of walked it back a little bit this week. But I love that. I love that little bit of spat back and forth. I do love Philly fans, though, too. I love the passion. Watching Philly playoff games with the Phillies and then also with the Eagles. But, yeah, that team that just don't, when we look at the NFC East and what the Browns faced, really, they're not even the best division either. I would say NFC Central is what probably looks the strongest. Do they not?
Who?
You mean the
South? NFC? Yeah, no, the NFC Central.
What would that mean?
I know they're the North, but I still like. I love the Central. You know why? Because the AFC Central is the last time the freaking Browns won the division in 1989.
This is true.
We could call it like Chris Berman, the NFC North division.
It's odd. It's odd that the Central back in the day it was us, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and then somehow we had Houston. Like not anywhere geographically in the same area.
Yeah,
but
didn't make any sense.
They were in with us. I don't know. I'm at this point now where like some of the stats I've seen over this team in the first 6 games are just it's ridiculous. I believe it was on I think I was listening to KNR and some ridiculous stat that like 9% of their offensive plays have resulted in some kind of penalty. 9%.
Jeez.
Like how does that happen? They've had one TD in 29 possessions. I went and did my own little bit of research, and I went back and looked at I was like, you know what? This is giving me 2016, 2017, 1999, 90. in 2000. It's giving me those vibes. So I just went back and looked at the 2016 Browns. Went 1-15 in their in their first 6 games. They scored 20 points in 4 out of those 6 games, which is this team that with much more talent, we can't even get anything close to that. And they had 4 200-yard passing games as well in those first 6 games. 1 by Josh McCown, and 3. Just take a guess who gave us 3 200-yard passing games.
Hold
take
on.
A guess.
Brock Osweiler.
First 6 games. No.
I didn't. That was, she said, which season?
2016, 1-15.
Not okay. I was thinking. Oh, jeez.
Kaiser?
Don't tell me Ken Dorsey.
No.
Yeah,
3.
Kaiser was what? 17.
Kaiser was 17. Yeah.
I think he was the 7. I think he was a rookie in 17. Man,
Yeah,
I don't.
17.
Yeah, where's that quarterback graveyard?
Josh
Need that
McCown
list.
gave you one 200-yard game. This guy gave you 3. Cody mother flipping
Kessler.
Cody Kessler gave you 3. Yes, 3 200-yard games, topping out at a cool 336 versus the Titans. 336. It takes us 3 weeks to get 336 passing yards right now.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Like, this is where we're at. Like, this is where we're at as a team, as a franchise. This is not what I expected this year. I expected, some hardships for sure, but not having a piss poor offense. The media, I'm about done with. I've seen it already. Mary Kay Cabot was speaking to. They're going to keep playing Deshaun Watson. Or first off, she sent out a tweet, or she recorded a video, one of her video spots, where she basically said that that they want to see if Deshaun Watson can play functional football. What is functional football? I mean, seriously.
That's a great draft pick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna get you a good draft pick.
That's Jalen Milroe right there.
Right there. I mean,
yeah. I hope.
I'm not hating on him. But then she came back today and said that they're also going to keep playing him so they can see what they have in him. And I start thinking, and I'm like, and then she ran down the list of names of guys like, she started off, she said, you know what, Geno Smith, he bounced back. Sam Darnold, we thought he was dead, he bounced back. And then she threw out the one name that I was hoping she would not throw out. Baker Mayfield, he bounced back. So what are we doing here? Because it seems to me like by them saying that they have to see what he is, are they admitting that they didn't wait and see what the hell Baker was? Because they evaluated him with a busted ass shoulder, a bum ankle, and everything else, and decided he was not the guy. But this fully healthy QB that we have right now, who we paid a lot of money to come in and be the dude, we just expect him to play functional football, and we're going to make an evaluation on him this way. I'm struggling to figure out what the hell it is that we're doing or what we're trying to accomplish here, because we've heard it said enough. Heard it said a million times. We can't afford to waste another year of Miles. We can't afford to waste another year of Ward in his prime. We can't. Okay. So what the hell are we doing right now then? Because it seems to me like we traded, we didn't even talk about this. We traded Amari, who's our best wide receiver, regardless of what, he's had a shit year. Let's just be honest. But quite frankly, since 99, he's the only wide receiver we've had with consecutive good seasons, period. The list of wide receivers that we've had in Cleveland rivals the quarterback list. If anybody ever wants to really, really look at it, it's awful. It is terrible. It is no good. He's the best of the lot. Yes, he had a lot of drops. Yes, he's had a rough season, but we let go of him. So if you're getting rid of your number one wide receiver and you're going to go ahead and keep playing Watson, who you keep saying gives you the best chance of win, but you're not winning, then what are we trying to do here? I'm confused, because to me this looks like a tank job. Yeah, you guys' thoughts. I don't know. I'm confused.
Taven, what did you tell me off the air before the show? What was your Brown stat?
So the 2016-17 Browns combined were 1-31. This year's record is 1-5. The points per game is about the same as that, 15.6 in 2016, 15.8 this year. The yards per game is where it gets interesting. 2016-17 Browns yards per game was 309.9. This year, 240. In 2016, the passing yards per game was 202. This year, 143. Keep in mind, you had Cooper this year. In 2016 team, Corey Coleman was your number one receiver.
Yep. That you had Corey Coleman. That just the whole, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't know what we're doing.
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, TP.
Oh, I
Cody
forgot all
Kessler
about
was the
him.
quarterback.
TP. TPZ.
It's not even fair to number one wide receivers to call Coleman a number one wide receiver at any stretch of his career. Not even on a team that bad. We had probably 2s and 3s at best.
Yeah.
At best.
But this is the thing, like, okay, so we get rid of Cooper, and now we've got Judy and Moore, and now they're going to talk about playing these young guys. And okay, I saw, and I don't care what nobody has to say. I ain't no Baker Bro or whatever, but I watched Baker Mayfield resurrect the career of Rashard Perryman in 2018 because he was on his way out the league, and I saw him give Rashard Higgins a little bit of a name by having a rapport with him and being able to find that dude open all the time. So now that we got rid of Coop, I expect to see something similar out of Watson. The waiting is over. It's obviously the penalties and the shit offense, and the defense is playing okay. I mean, but, and I'm not blaming Watson for everything, but we were told that Baker Mayfield needed everything to be perfect, and we needed to bring in a guy who, when things aren't perfect, he can kind of make up for the shortcomings of the team. Where are we at right now, man? Where are we at?
I mean, Baker had what? OBJ, Jarvis Landry, a super young Njoku.
That was in 2019.
The returning Nick Chubb, or young Nick Chubb, right?
Yep, that was in 2019. And
Right.
He was throwing a Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, like I said, Rashard Perryman.
Antonio Callaway, was he on that team?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm saying. And a second year in Njoku, I believe. Like, and again, this is not to try and bring Baker's name into this, but this is just about me as a Browns fan, keeping it a buck with everybody. If you play like ass, I'm gonna call you on it, whether you were supposed to be great or not. I thought, like everybody else, I thought that Watson was going to be an upgrade. I thought he was.
At the time, with that trade, yes.
Yeah. Clearly, he's not. So I'm not going to sit around and be like, "Oh, just wait. Nah, you're playing like ass. He's playing like ass. So if this kind of takes me back to when Baker was playing injured, and we were all like, "Why don't they play Keenum, man? Let him get a rest. Like they see Keenum at practice every day. He must really be shit. And then he came in and beat Denver. So like, now we're in the same boat where it's like, man, maybe give Watson a rest. Sit him down for a second. Play. This is why you pay with. This is why you pay famous Jameis. Let him get some tick. Nah, I'm not going to let him get any tick either. So I just need one of you two guys to tell me what the plan is right now, because it doesn't seem to be to win football games.
I think playing Winston's, it's not the move, because right, like you said, if he goes in like Keenum and starts winning games, you're kind of gonna throw away that number one pick you have, because you're obviously not going to really go anywhere with this team. So I think the only way is to kind of start from scratch and take a quarterback in that first number one pick. and then next year compete. And I think Winston's kind of going to mess that up. Obviously, he's a better choice. I went to the week 3 game against the Giants, and I want to say right after halftime, Watson, I think, got sacked or something, and the entire stadium started chanting Jameis Winston. So everybody wants Winston, but I don't think it's the move for the kind of tank scheme that we're kind of in right now.
So you think we're
Yeah, I
tanking?
know.
You think we're tanking?
Yeah, I do. I mean, your schedule's tough the rest of the way, and I think the only kind of game that has a win written on it is the Denver one, and that's at Denver. So that's going to be a tough one too. I just don't think you have enough to hang with these teams, and I think you just got to go tank and get Shador and Milrow.
I will be in Denver for that game, so thank you for putting that good juju in the air.
That's the one.
There'll be a lot of good things in the air in Denver. And I don't know if Juju's going to be one of them.
What do you think, man? Like, do you feel like they're tanking?
I think they're close. I think the trade of Amari Cooper to Buffalo is something that was already brewing anyways because of when his name got thrown into Ayuk trade. It was tough to come back when it was a contract year for him. And you have a quarterback in Deshaun Watson whose two most consistent receivers that he can hit on any given Sunday are Joe Sideline and Joe Blade of Grass. So he's either airing the ball over their damn head or he's throwing it too low. Those are the two things that he can actually throw consistently to, because it's sure as hell in our wide receivers. And as far as tanking goes, you cannot in that building sell that team on a tank when you're bringing back the quality human of Nick Chubb that he is going to bring. He literally brings the accountability and leadership just by his display of who he is, how the work that he puts on in off the field, and how he performs on the field. That is an automatic sit up in your seat, give attention to him type player that should help boost this team against the Bengals team, Tavin, that went in against your Giants. And the Giants defense looked really good against Cleveland, played well against the Bengals, but unfortunately you guys couldn't get any offense. Bengals win. They only scored 17 points against that Giants team. So there's a chance not only that we can break 20, but our defense will show up again. Keep it a manageable game to where we can finally, like Clarence, we talked about before the season started, we were hoping Deshaun could just play average to good football. Of course, if he would have been all pro level, everybody would have taken that and everybody be happy. But that's not the case. But my thing is, I think Chubb is going to lift this team enough that we're going to get the win Sunday against Cincinnati, and because of Stefanski's record against the Bengals as well, even though that offense that they have is dangerous.
I feel like we still own Burrow's ass. I feel like we still own his ass, and maybe the return of Nick Chubb is going to give the team just enough energy to get by. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping, obviously, the Browns play a little bit better as a whole. I read that letter today from Nick Chubb in the Players Tribune. Man, somebody was cutting onions up in my house when I was reading that. It was, it was wild in here. But that was right there. Like that right there is what I want in every single Cleveland athlete. Like he's riding for the city because the city rides for him. So maybe all this stuff together will maybe help lead to something. I just and you know what? Here's the thing I was thinking about too. They might not be tanking intentionally. But with that schedule, they might not have a choice.
That's what I was about to say. Do you really want to beat the Bengals?
Yes, I do want to beat them. Yeah. And I want to beat the Steelers once, and I want to beat the Ravens once, and then we can lose everything else.
I'd rather see Jameis Winston come off the bench and give us our Flacco moment for this season. Because I was listening on the radio on the way home from work. Winston could throw you 6 touchdowns, and yeah, sure, you might have 3 picks too, but at least we're getting the end zone. At least we're putting up some points. The defense themselves deserve to have somebody that can put some points on the. Wondering if they're just doing Nick Chubb this week because that's a like boost A, if you will, especially after trading your number 1 wide receiver. And potentially that boost B is that Winston does actually start playing, because if not, Watson's going to kill our coach. You know, Clarence, I know you heard me talking early in the season. I kept dropping those hints and I kept throwing Belichick's name out there. And that even though Stefanski's been coach of the year twice now, that, man, this can turn quick, and it sure as shit has turned quick. Back to Factory of Sadness type times down by the lakefront. And none of us want to go back there. I don't want to tank. I don't want to see more losing. Myles Garrett deserves better. Denzel Ward deserves better. Any guy in that locker room that busts their ass and is committed to the team and that culture that we thought we had from last year, and maybe it's still there, but we just can't, it doesn't show on the scoreboard. It definitely, the body language on the field looks ugly. But the defense is trying, and I do not want to see them get any more burnout than they are from an offense that can't hit 20 yet. And thankfully, we have some of the points we did thanks to McLeod. Isn't he our leading scorer now with 2 touchdowns? And he's on defense? Not even a starter?
Oh, I just don't like. He's our leading scorer. Like, I should have drafted him. I'm in an offense-only fantasy league. I should have just lobbied to draft him because he's been the only Brown to get me any flipping points. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not sure how we got here. I'm not saying the franchise is cursed, but what I will say is that, like, if bad shit can happen, it's going to happen to the Browns. Like, Kev, you're right. They're going to boo 4. They're going to boo 4. Their best bet, their very best bet would be to have Deshaun run out holding Nick Chubb's hand. So that way, he can't get booed.
No, he better wear a Chubb jersey.
Yeah.
Oh.
They better walk out arm in arm.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining us tonight. Yeah, it's tough. Well, Tavin, Clarence and I are the old school Browns fans. You're younger than we are by just a few years anyways. But, you know, I don't know about Clarence. I can speak to saying that I was actually in attendance for the Browns-Jets January 1987 game, double overtime victory. So I've been to a home Browns playoff game. That was a winner, and also the game against Buffalo. That was also a winner, both at the old stadium. What is some of your friends saying? What's you new school guys? What do you that haven't seen anything really of relevance other than the win in Pittsburgh? Where is your age group? Where's everybody's head at?
So everybody's head's not with the Browns, which it's funny. I mean, all my friends just, I mean, and it's a big reason because they've sucked while we were growing up, but not a lot of my friends are Browns fans. I mean, you got Patriots, Dolphins, literally any other fan base that you could possibly think of. Bills fans. Yeah.
Thank you, NFL ticket. Thank you, fantasy football. Yeah. Thank you, gambling. Hopefully nobody's out there gambling. None of your young friends.
It's more so that they follow like certain players and are attracted to that team. But the vast minority of Browns fans that there is, like around my age, there's 2 things. Nobody likes Watson, and people are fed up with Stefanski. And I agree with both of them. I mean, Watson obviously hasn't been the guy you traded 3 first-round picks for. And Stefanski, I know a lot of people back him because he won Coach of the Year twice, but I don't see it with him. I think you need a restart in the head coach position.
There is some credit I want to take away from Stefanski, and number one, it's this. He gets credit for the win in Pittsburgh for that playoff game.
Right.
I absolutely disagree with that because he was out with COVID. Now, that's not his fault. However, he's not on the sideline. I still don't get that when people say he's got a playoff victory. And to me, unless he was hiding somewhere on that sideline, pick up some turf and find him in a foxhole, he wasn't over there.
Who was that? Was that Chris Tabor?
What was the name? I think you were right. The special
Chris Tabor?
Yeah, Tabor or something. Yeah.
I think that's who was on the sidelines.
Now, Pittsburgh helped us that night by snapping the ball over Big Ben's head on the first play for a Browns touchdown. So, that was a great start. So, but yeah, Stefanski.
Going along with that.
Go ahead, David.
I mean, Coach of the Year, I don't really. Let's not kid ourselves. It was Schwartz that was a big part in that. I mean, I know you had everybody on the roster go down last year, and he did a good job at managing the offense. But I think it was Schwartz that really carried him to that Coach of the Year. So,
Prefer? All right, Kev says Mike Prefer.
Kevin playing the role of Stat Boy tonight.
Right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Tony Reale.
Yes.
I'm just still bugging that, like Tavin said, anybody else but the Browns, that's who his friends like. And it just blows my mind because, as a kid, me coming up, you see the drive, you see the fumble, you see 3 AFC championship games in 4 years, and you just kind of build on that. And even before that, you have the cardiac kids with Sipe and those guys. So you're seeing good football, but I can only imagine if all you've seen since '99 is this shit product. Why would you like this team? Why would you go out and support this team? Like I feel like an asshole sometimes for supporting them myself, but I'm stuck with these dudes now. So like I get it, and I do get the new generation too. They follow players more than they follow teams. I've noticed that a lot,
which I don't get.
Yeah, it's weird to me. Yeah, it's weird to me. I'm looking at the guy. I call me old school, get off my lawn, but I'm looking at the name on the front, not the back. Like, but yeah, like why would you like? So I let my son. We'll watch games together, and we watched a lot of games last year and the season before, and he's just kind of like, or the season before, he's just kind of like, because they were losing, and so he wasn't real interested. So then he's like, he gets all mad, and he want to use Baltimore Ravens because they got Lamar Jackson, and he wants to use the Kansas City Chiefs because they got Mahomes, and I'm like,
great point. Video games and Madden, you're right.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, like, even when the Browns were bad when I was younger, I'd at least take them and then start a franchise with them and then try and rebuild them to make them good again.
Yeah,
got no interest in that shit whatsoever, none.
Well, at least we got Nick Chubb coming back this week to provide that spark to the team. Like I said, I think somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to win. Cooper's out of the building. Production lost. But if you look at what he's produced this year, just hasn't been there. But then again, when you have an offensive line that's declined, you have the quarterback play that you have, and then you have the lack of a running game. And that's just a perfect storm for basically our point totals every Sunday. So hopefully Nick can at least provide some balance, maybe some good play action plays. Maybe that's going to help Deshaun this week. As Browns fans, it's tough, man, because it's a broken record. We've seen this story before too many times. I'm hoping somehow, some way, we can bounce back a little bit. And I still think Jameis Winston, man, we got to get him in the game. I know that some people want to see DTR and they want to see his development. Is he a guy that's a serious contender to be one of our top quarterbacks going even into next year, with Jameis Winston being on this 1-year contract?
James, they put Jameis in the game. They let him run them damn sneaks and all them silly ass trick plays.
You might as well, hell, you could have kept Harrison Bryant for that.
Oh, I'll never understand it. This is part of the whole Stefanski shit. I'll never understand it.
Hmm.
We had Jacoby Brissett out there. Not once did we see DTR, who's a little bit more mobile and quick. Not once did we see him out there running on a scramble or nothing like that. And then we bring Winston back in game 11 or game 12 or whatever it is, and they still bring in Jacoby to do the quarterback sneaks and everything. Now I get it, but it's like you got mobile guys, and you're still bringing this dude in no matter what. And they're doing the same kind of thing with Jameis now. Like, I understand they don't want to get old boy hit, and I can dig it, but I just don't know what we're doing, where we're going. All I know is I'm gonna wake up on Sunday, hungover because I'm going hard Saturday night. I'll watch these boys, and they better show up. They better show for the sake of Nick Chubb. They better show up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after baseball season, the only hope we kind of have is Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get into some Cavs more next week. I know they've got a preseason game tonight. So season starts next week. So I'm looking forward to Cavs season starting, but I still want to continue to talk some guards. I want to have some positive moments with the Browns. You know, the one thing I keep thinking about is if I could hit the reset button on the Browns season, what would the quarterback room look like? I think many of us wanted Flacco back. Flacco wanted to be back. I think he would have been somebody that would have could have helped Deshaun if Deshaun was willing to work with him. But I also think he would have been a great mentor for DTR's development to help him. I don't see, other than locker room division, why that would not have worked. Because I really think we needed that balance because the team knew it. The team knew that the play was going to decline at the quarterback position, bringing Deshaun back and being the starter. I mean, I wish somehow, some way, Flacco could at least been able to compete with him, but it's all about that contract. It's more about the business side than it is the football side and the performance side.
Amari decline, James. I don't think they thought. I think they really thought they were going to slide him in, and everything was just going to be smooth. Now we talked at the beginning of the season. I was like, I feel like it's going to take him a game or two to get right. I didn't think it'd take 6. But I think they thought that he was going to come back in and do his thing after a few games. And I tend to agree with you, both of you guys. Like I feel like half the reason they're not playing Jameis, like kind of like we said, is because Jameis' style is more Flacco than it is Watson. And Jameis get on that field and start slinging that thing around. And like you said, he might toss you three picks, but he might toss you six touchdowns too, 5 touchdowns. So,
which makes the team watchable,
yes,
right?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Even with Flacco's picks last year, the team was watchable. The defense had hope that there was going to be points put on the scoreboard.
Go ahead, James.
No, you're good. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, if Winston goes in and looks good, it makes, I think, the front office and everybody involved look even more dumb for the Watson signing. And I think that's a big reason why they don't, go out and play him. I think you had an excuse last year when he was hurt to play Flacco. And if Flacco looked good, it's kind of a plug-in guy. But I think that's another big reason why he didn't bring him back. It's going to make Watson's confidence go down. I mean, not like that really matters anymore, but kind of just makes the front office look dumb.
Yeah, and James, you're right. It does. It makes them more watchable. Do you know, like these last few games, at halftime, I'm like, man, let me go ahead and take like a 15-minute nap, and I'll pause this bad boy, and I'll pause this game. I'll take a 15, 20-minute nap, and then I can just kind of fast forward because I'm not interested in watching this bullshit really anyway. But you're right. It's unwatchable. It is unwatchable. It is awful. Again, like this Sunday is outside of the opener. This is probably the game I've looked forward to the most this year. Is him coming back. I can't think of anything else. Like,
No, you're right. You're right. That's definitely fair. You and I have made many trips. You more recent than me. I haven't been to a game now for a couple of years, but when they came back in '99, I went to many games. I went to when we were bad, and it's end of December and it's cold as hell, and nobody wanted the tickets. Showed up at the game and would cheer on this team. So I just hope for all the fans out there that are season ticket holders that have already invested their money in this team and their time on their weekends off, that they get some sort of satisfaction by going down to the stadium, not just the camaraderie of being at the Muni lot or now at the West 6th. They closed that down now. You can't have any damn fun over there. But there's places that these fans, us Browns fans, that are well more invested financially and with their money and time. I just want them, and they spend the money on the jerseys and the hats and the new damn dog logo that was created last year that I still haven't bought any apparel of, by the way. I'm very cautious and very distant as far as what I'm dedicating now to this team. But this Sunday, you're right. With Chubb returning, this is definitely the game that I think we need to be invested in as fans. We owe it to Nick Chubb for the class act that he is, for the great letter that he not only wrote about the city, but also the organization. We do have at least something to look forward to this Sunday. And I don't know how many more Sundays we're going to be able to say that.
It's not looking good. Like I said, I'll be in Denver, which I hope is not our next win, but it very well could be. But yeah, I'm all about this weekend. I'm all about this Sunday. Chubb is that dude. He deserves our support. He deserves us to go down there and cheer our asses off. Keep the boos down. Actually, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. If you want to boo their asses. I don't care. But when Chubb is on,
that's right. It's your money.
That's right. When 24 is out there, though, be loud, be vocal, be rowdy. That dude he actually gives a shit about us, so we should give a shit about him. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to say one more thing, and then Tavin, I want you to have some closing statements here. What are we in court? For Nick Chubb, they sure as hell better give him the damn ball more than 8 or 10 carries. Yeah. Don't shortchange us, Stefanski. Don't do that to us, please. We want to see the guy. That I know he's back, and I know you want to play Jerome Ford some out there too, and sneak Pierre Strong out there and Deontay Foreman, and make sure everybody gets some playing time and gets their participation ribbons. But give Nick Chubb the damn ball. Give him as much as he's willing to take it.
Whoa.
Tavin, close us out here for the night.
Yeah, you just got to feed Chubb. I mean, obviously, you hope he doesn't get injured with that offensive line, but I mean, that's really the only kind of interesting part of the season. I mean, it's kind of already done. You're 1-5. You have the worst record in the league, so obviously that's the only bright spot kind of in this team. So.
Yep. So we got tomorrow night. We got I should say tomorrow night. Here we go again. Yankees at Guardians, Game 3. What time is it? 5:08. I get off work at 5. What are you doing, Major League Baseball? Quit with these early starts. At least it's not 3 o'clock. But damn, 5:08. Really? We got to work.
He has prime time. I figured every Yankees game would guarantee us prime time.
Well, the Dodgers at Mets, Game 4, because they're playing right now. Dodgers up 2-0 on the Mets in the top of the third. They play at 8 o'clock. Which if you're in LA, it's the same thing. If you're at work and you got to get off at 5 and you want to sit in that LA traffic for the next hour and a half, probably take in the majority game in traffic. At least I'll be home in 30 minutes.
I don't give a damn about them out there. I care about us over here, man.
So yeah, tomorrow night.
No hate, LA fans. I'm just messing with y'all. Sorry.
Yeah, out of our 47 viewers, I'm wondering how many are from LA. If you are from LA, please comment in the chat.
Or if an LA fan.
But at least Friday night's game 4 in Cleveland will be an 8:08 start. I know a lot of us have watched on TBS. Tavin, I don't know if you've checked out the Max Datacast. If you have Max, anybody out there, check it out. It's kind of pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not an analytics guy, and Clarence, him and I both talk about that with football, the whole deep Podesta crap with him bringing whatever the hell he learned with the Oakland A's to Cleveland. But as far as analytics of watching a baseball game and having all that stats available, that Datacast on Max is pretty neat. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. So Browns this Sunday, downtown Cleveland at... What's the name of it now? Huntington Bank Field? Really? Am I going to have to change banks if we can't win at the bank?
That's Cleveland Browns Stadium. They can call it whatever the hell they want. That's Cleveland Browns.
I'm wondering if Huntington's, kind of looking back on this going, maybe we shouldn't have thrown our name on this building, the Factory of Sadness. But Browns kick off Sunday at 1 o'clock. So for Tavin McCauley, Clarence Wilson here on the Land Sports Show. Tavin, I wanted to do a quick shout out for you. Who are you covering for Believe Land Media high school football this Friday?
So the plan's Green versus Perry, but no word back from Green for high school. So backup, I want to believe, is Lake Hoover. Kevin just texted me. So
very good, very good. But
good games,
a lot of Believe Land members out there that are covering high school sports, doing a great job for Kevin Sleds and the media group. Keep doing a great job with your video highlights and post-game interviews. So yeah, you guys keep up good work. So
appreciate it.
Yep. We're out of here for the Land Sports Show. Until next week, hopefully we're talking some positives of the Guardians series with the Yankees and the home victory for the Cleveland Browns. I'm your host, James Ellifritz, signing off for this week. We will see you next week. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night, everybody.